Hey, welcome back to Main Street Living. Danielle, Cheryl, for many Americans, Pride Month is a very, very important celebration in the month of June. But did you ladies know it started to honor the 1969 Stonewall riots?
That's right. The event began as patrons and supporters of the Stonewall Inn in New York City staged an uprising to resist the police harassment of LGBTQ Americans. So today's celebrations include activities like parades, concerts, as well as workshops. And here to talk all about the importance of these events, we have Jen LaBarbera. Jen, thanks so much for joining us on Main Street Living.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
So Jen, first things first, we know you work with San Diego Pride. Can you tell us a little bit about your role?
Sure. I'm the Education and Advocacy Manager at San Diego Pride. So that encompasses a whole lot of things. We have about, give or take every year, about 25 different education and advocacy programs that run throughout the year, which of course, kind of our start and end of the year always is in July at San Diego Pride.
Okay, and some of us may not know the meaning and significance of Pride Month. I'm so glad that there is a Pride Month. Explain that a little bit.
Sure. So as y'all already pointed out, it does commemorate Stonewall. So this was a 3-day riot in 1969, starting on June 28th, 1969, at the Stonewall Inn, which is a gay bar in New York City, actually still a gay bar today. And it was a fight back against the very regular police raids on LGBTQ establishments and LGBTQ groups. It was illegal at that point to be gay. In the state of California, it was actually still legal to lobotomize gay men, and that happened pretty regularly. And so, this was in 1969. It wasn't the first time that we had fought back, but there was something about that night, about that riot, that really kind of ignited a whole movement. And so now, annually in June, we commemorate that, both the roots of Pride as a protest, as protest against state-sanctioned police violence. And then also it's really grown into this beautiful celebration of our full selves as well.
That's amazing. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know the story behind Pride, why it's done in June. And it's really cool to hear that Stonewall is still a gay bar where people can go. How can someone who's not a member of the LGBTQ community plus become an effective ally for their friends or their family members?
Yeah, so I do pretty regular trainings as one of the many programs that we do at San Diego Pride. I do pretty regular trainings on LGBTQ inclusivity. And this is often the question that, people really want to get to is, okay, how do I be a good ally? How do I be an active ally? And the key word there is active, right? It's not enough to just say, oh, I have a gay friend, I have a trans friend. Being an ally really is about fighting back against that transphobia, homophobia, biphobia that we see both casually and really explicitly in legislation, right? So it's about having those hard conversations with your mom, with your uncle when they say something offensive. It's talking to your bosses about saying, hey, I noticed on our forms that we have to fill out, there's only 2 gender markers. In the state of California, there are plenty of folks that actually have X on their driver's licenses to indicate non-binary or intersex status. So maybe we need to update our forms, right? It's taking those active steps. And ultimately just respecting and understanding the LGBTQ people in your life.
Are you finding that a lot of businesses are supporting Pride Month and everything that you're doing, or is it still a struggle?
Yes, and both for sure. So, right, like we've, you look around, you look on Twitter, and it seems like every single company has changed their logo to a rainbow this month, which is great for visibility, right? I'm not saying that is absolutely wrong. It is one step, though. It is only one piece of it. So, it is, Target has their questionably fashionable Pride collection this year, which they've had for about 5 or 6 years now, right? And if I were growing up, going into Target, seeing that would have meant a lot, right? That would have been really affirming for me as a very young queer person. And right, we are also seeing a lot of these companies that are putting and businesses that are putting rainbows in their logos, but not really backing them up with action. Maybe their employees still don't have access to gender affirming care in their insurance. Maybe they're still bankrolling politicians that are actively putting out legislation that is anti-LGBTQ, This year alone, we've seen over 250 pieces of legislation across the country that attack the LGBTQ community, particularly focused on transgender youth.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, obviously you have a lot more information than we have time to get out of you. So where can people find some more information, some good resources?
Sure. So San Diego Pride, unlike the rest of the country, we actually celebrate Pride in July, in part to avoid June gloom, but also primarily to like coordinate with the other prides around our region, right? So we're not all stepping on each other's toes. So our Pride events are coming up in July. The state is just reopened. So a lot of our events will be, we won't have our capacity limits, but we're still a little bit more scaled back than normal. But if you go to sdpride.org/pride, you can find all of the events. We have about 25 different events that will be happening throughout Pride Week in July.
Thank you
Thanks so much.
Yeah, for being here today. We appreciate it. And we've got a lot more ahead on Main Street. We will tell you more about one of the top cancer care centers in the country. Stay with us.